do want to ask you, though, you've got 36 franchises open, right, in 17 states. That's super impressive since 2022. One of the most common questions I get from fellow founders is, how am I going to find franchisees? So how did you find your first dozen franchisees?
Well, our first few came from people that we know, like that's very typical in the
Sure, very
industry.
typical.
One of my good friends, and probably one of the most influential people to help us get into franchising, he partnered with a couple people that he knows to purchase a franchise. They were our first two franchise locations that opened. And then other friends or people that we've done business with in the past. But after that, we've searched, I guess we've advertised on different pay-per-lead sites for businesses and franchises. We've done other podcasts. We did one trade show a couple years ago, but really it's been bootstrapped a little bit. We haven't had a huge marketing budget to go out and just blast everything and do, PR and all of that. But we were able to grow steadily, which helped us to also fine-tune some of our systems and get things stable and where they needed to be until while we were able to hit some of those bigger numbers as far as units sold goes. But now we're having a lot of success, and we're finding potential franchisees through Biz by Sell or through our own website or by doing things like this. And so we appreciate you having us on this podcast and show, because this does help us, and we appreciate these opportunities as well.
Well, I'm happy to showcase you. Damon, I want to ask Damon a question here on the operations side. Damon, who's the kind of person that really thrives in the franchise system? Like, tell me what some of the common traits that you think is really what makes your best franchisees the top in your in your system.
That's a great question. I think it's just someone who works. You know what I mean? Someone that gets after it. We have some franchisees that unfortunately, buy in and don't realize that, hey, it's actually something you got to work. And so they're there, but not doing, having so much success.
Sure.
But the ones that step in and actually work and get out there and can walk into a high school or walk into a, club or a, city rec department, those are the ones that will walk away with business. There's so much business out there. There's so many clubs. I mean, you think of how many sports there are and how many clubs and schools, and I mean, it's just unlimited. Just those that can get out there and really push and work. The operations side of things, it's hard to both be out there selling and be handling the operation side of things. That's really hard to do. You get to that point where, if you're handling all of it by yourself, you really hit a limit of what you can do, because now all of a sudden you can't get out there and sell more because you're fulfilling orders. And so those that are willing to hire and bring somebody on, whether it's their wife or their husband or one of their kids, or I don't know, somebody they know, but if they can bring somebody on to help them place orders, manage the orders, follow up, ship, everything, deliver, those that can do that really find the time to get out and sell and continue to grow. So
yeah,
I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, it does.
But that's just what I see is those workers, right? Good at work ethic and that really want it, get out there and they do it.
And what you said, by the way, there's nothing wrong with how you answered that, because that's any franchise system. Sometimes a little bit of a misconception. People think, I bought a franchise, that's it, the money's going to come rolling in. It's like, no, you bought a franchise, the work starts now.
Yeah.
And for your business, I could imagine this. If I'm a franchisee of Team Up Athletics, my primary role is to get out in the community, meet with every athletic team, meet with all the schools, meet with all the clubs, find where the corporations that are ordering gear and stuff and, uniforms and stuff. And it's somebody that has to be out in the community. And if I had a franchisee who wasn't sales oriented, then that's fine, right? They have to be the back office person. They need to hire a salesperson because, to your point, you can't do both. And the only way you're making money is you're out in the community. And if you're not out in the community, somebody has to be out there. I had the same issue in my business where I had somebody who loved sports, And so they wanted to, they wanted to be the coach. They wanted to be on the field. And it's like, that's not how you make money. You running around on the field on a Saturday with a whistle around your neck. The way you're going to make money running an I9 Sports franchise is you getting more people to join your leagues. So you have to be out in the community and marketing. But if you want to have that whistle around your neck, so be it. But somebody else has got to be running the other side of the business. And it's a tough conversation that we have as franchisors, but it's necessary because otherwise they're going to fail.
Yeah, and that's scary. It's scary to hire somebody and number one, trust them that they're going to represent your business well. But also it's scary to be like, man, if I can't afford to pay this person, what am I going to do? There's, as a, small business, that's always kind of a concern. And so I remember when Jason was like, hey, we got to hire somebody. I'm like, no, we can do it. We got to, we can't, it scared the heck out of me. And we finally did it. And man, it really changes the dynamic, and you find that, wow, we can make payroll, and we can make this work, and they're adding enough value to the business that it helps it to grow. I mean, you just got to take those steps. So those that are willing to do that, those that will take that chance.
It's the only way you're going to grow, right, Jason? And you have to, and I would imagine the person that is more open to selling and can handle rejection, because that's the nature of the beast. You dealt with that. I dealt with that in medical sales and in pharmaceuticals. Yeah. But in this position, it's the same thing. You have to get that out there in the community, walk into a school, be told, no, I'm not interested, and be willing to go back at another time. Not like, oh, well, that's it. They told me, no, I'm never going back. No, that just means no today.
Yeah.
And that takes a different mindset.
Absolutely. And we still, this is it is a little bit of a unique industry, I think, because it's a little old school when it comes to the type of sales. You're dealing with coaches. It's guys like you and I mean, people that they're out there. If you think about a high school coach, I mean, unless they have a different career and they just come in to coach, these are teachers that are, they teach a subject or two, they're coaching as well. And they're there for the love of the game and to teach kids some good positive life lessons and hopefully get some wins. So they also are not the great, email corresponding type people. So you're exactly right. Like this is an industry that you have to be willing to put in the work to get to know these individuals, to build a relationship, to walk into an office, a coaching office. That brings success. Where we find the opposite of that is if, franchise owners are, just looking to send emails or, really don't want to put the face-to-face time in. It's harder. It's definitely more of a struggle. And so it's a little old school. Face-to-face meetings and building relationships from the ground up is really the key to this business and sales in our business.
Jason, what's the investment range to open a franchise?
Yeah, our franchise fee is $35,000 is all, and so a total initial investment is going to be right around $55,000. Part of that is $10,000 working capital that we require. So that obviously does not come to us or anybody else. But part of that $55,000 that I just said is to have at least $10,000 in your bank account to start out with for capital.
Okay. How big of an area is a territory?
Yeah, territories geographically are going to be different because of population areas. But the way we break down a territory is since most of our business comes from public schools, we look at the public school districts, and then we look at the amount of high schools within those public school districts, and then the amount of student body that go to those high schools. And so we typically clump together, 4 or 5 school districts around, 10 to 15 high schools and around 20 to 30,000 high school student body. And that will draw out a typical territory. And so if you're looking at that in Montana, it's like half of the state.
Right.
Because there's, most of their schools have like 200 or 300 kids. And if you look at that in inner city Boston, it's going to be a very small geographical area. But the whole goal there is to drive the same amount of population demographically that can sustain a business and promote the best opportunity for that franchisee to reach milestones like $1 million. Like that's the first milestone. Hit $1 million in 1 year within a certain time frame. We like to say 3 to 4 years, and each territory that we carve out can sustain that and more, much more.
Thank you for tuning into the Emerging Franchise Brands podcast. For additional insights, guest applications, and to stay connected, visit us at efbpodcast.com. The Emerging Franchise Brands podcast is for entertainment purposes only, and the views expressed do not necessarily represent those of Emerging Franchise Brands, its host Frank Fiume, or Emerging Franchise Group LLC. Any discussed franchise or investment opportunity requires thorough investigation, obtaining proper disclosure documents, and expert consultation before making any investment decisions. The podcast and its host do not offer professional advice or endorsements, and they hold no responsibility for actions, representations, accuracy, or consequential damages related to the podcast content.